We want to bring in Kristen Welker now, moderator of Meet the Press. Kristen, good morning. Let's talk about immigration. I mean, there obviously is this back and forth over this particular man in Maryland, and the White House has come out pretty strong trying to say, you know, this is somebody who doesn't belong in this country for whatever reason. There's a larger issue. It's a constitutional issue. It's this showdown between the federal courts and between the White House. And where do we see that ending if the Justice Department or if the White House is not going to listen to court orders?
Well, Savannah, that's the big question. Will the White House listen to court orders? If not, will this go all the way to the Supreme Court? And what then if the White House doesn't comply with the Supreme Court? I interviewed Chuck Schumer a couple of weeks ago, who said that you would start to see people really rise up and protest that. We'll have to see how it unravels. But look, in conversations with administration officials, they see Abrego Garcia's case as a politically potent one for them. President Trump has consistently gotten high marks for his handling on the border on immigration. And in this instance, it really allows his administration to take attention away from what they don't want to be talking about right now, tariffs, the economy, with a lot of uncertainty around what will happen next in the president's trade war. What's also notable is that we've seen Democrats really divided, Savannah, in terms of how they've responded to this moment. While you have some Democrats like Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen leaning heavily into this case, others like California Governor Gavin Newsom are calling this matter the, quote, distraction of the day. They think the party should be more focused on the economy, which, as you know, which, as we always discuss, is the top issue for voters.
Kristen, pretty big news internationally the last couple of hours. Secretary of State Marco Rubio over in Paris. Comments about Ukraine and maybe, Kristen, heading towards a potential turning point in the Ukraine-Russia war.
Well, Mike, absolutely. These are really striking comments from the Secretary of State Marco Rubio after holding talks with European and Ukrainian officials saying, quote, we are now reaching a point when we need to decide and determine whether this, meaning bringing the war to an end, is even possible or not. And for the first time, really putting a timeline on the talks, saying the administration will decide in a matter of days whether or not it's doable. These comments clearly aimed at applying pressure to Ukraine and Russia, who so far have been unable to strike a deal. Just yesterday, President Trump said he's not happy with Ukraine's President Zelensky. He told me several weeks ago on the phone that he's very angry at President Putin. As you all know, ending the war was a key campaign promise for President Trump, who at one point said he would end the war within 24 hours of taking office. That is clearly proving a much more difficult task than he may have expected.
Yeah, one more note, Kristen, on the item you mentioned, the economy, which is, of course, what people feel, what they know, prices going up. And the president has had a back and forth, gotten pretty heated. Well, it's actually more one-sided. He's saying he wants to see Jay Powell, the Fed chair, fired. How are these tariffs and these higher prices affecting the White House politically?
Well, they're looming large. And right now, Savannah, according to our latest CNBC poll, the president's underwater in his handling of the economy. The first time we've ever seen that. And his tensions with Jerome Powell really go back to his first administration. We're seeing those tensions, as you say, ramp up again, with the president urging him to lower interest rates and saying just yesterday that Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. It comes just a few days after Powell said that President Trump's tariffs will likely generate at least a, quote, temporary rise in inflation. Powell's turn, it's worth noting, is not up until next year. Now, look, historically speaking, administrations have interpreted that the law says the president cannot remove the chairman of the Federal Reserve. But right now, that is legally in question, could go to the Supreme Court. And some Democrats and economists have warned that replacing Powell could lead to even more market volatility. So we're watching that very closely, Savannah and Mike.
Kristen Welker with a lot of tabs open this morning. Thank you so much. And she's got a big weekend ahead. The latest from Washington Sunday on Meet the Press, including an interview with Senator Van Hollen following that trip to El Salvador.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.